Coming up on The World Today. Russia denies a report by the UK's National Cybersecurity Centre saying Russian hackers are targeting organisations developing COVID-19 vaccines in the UK, the US and in Canada. Spain and the UK city of Manchester pay tribute to those who died from the coronavirus in the countries. High-profile Twitter accounts in the United States are hacked. A warm welcome to the program today. I'm Amarachi Ubani here in Lagos. So Russia says it has nothing to do with early reports of attempts to hack information relating to COVID-19 vaccine development. The rebuttal was made by President Vladimir Putin's spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov. He was reacting to a claim by the UK's National Cybersecurity Centre, which says Russian hackers are targeting organisations trying to develop a coronavirus vaccine in the UK, the US and in Canada. The centre has not specified which organisation had been targeted or whether any information had been stolen. But when asked about the allegation, Mr. Peskov said, quote, "We do not have information about who may have hacked into pharmaceutical companies and research centres in Great Britain." The NCSC said it was more than 95% certain that APT29, which is the hacker group, was part of the Russian intelligence services. In the meantime, Spain is today remembering those who've died from the coronavirus pandemic with a tribute to the more than 28,000 people who lost their lives. The UK is also holding a memorial, encouraging people to upload names of loved ones online. Here's the global update.
At least 400 people attended the tribute outside the Spanish Royal Palace in Madrid for the more than 28,000 people who have died from COVID-19 in the country. Among them, relatives of the victims, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, other senior EU officials, and the Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus. King Felipe, in his address, told the families their pain was shared by all of Spain. Over in the UK, a service was held to remember those lost to the virus in Manchester City at the Manchester Cathedral. Those who attended the interfaith service observed social distancing guidelines, while an online memorial allowed people who have been bereaved to upload the names and personal details of their loved ones. With the number of coronavirus cases in India nearing 1 million, local authorities across the country are reimposing lockdowns not long after they were lifted. Nearly a dozen states have imposed restrictions as the number of infections surpassed 900,000. About 30,000 cases were confirmed on Wednesday. Australia's Victoria State today reported 317 cases, the highest one-day rise in infections and the country's largest since early April. Victoria has been isolated from the rest of the country for more than a week, following a fresh outbreak of the disease. And across Africa, South Africa crossed the 300,000 mark on Wednesday, as its healthcare system struggles under the weight of rapidly rising infections. And the WHO says over the last week, Lesotho, Namibia, Madagascar, Burundi and Angola have reported the highest increase of new cases.
China-owned Sinopharm pharmaceutical company says it has begun phase 3 clinical trials of a COVID-19 vaccine in Abu Dhabi, using up to 15,000 volunteers. That trial is said to be a partnership between Sinopharm China Biotech Group, Abu Dhabi-based artificial intelligence and cloud computing company Group 42, and the Abu Dhabi Department of Health. Sinopharm says it chose the United Arab Emirates because around 200 different nationalities reside there, and it has a focus on medical research and fighting the pandemic. The UAE says it has conducted more than 4 million coronavirus infection tests on a population of around 9.6 million. It has recorded almost 56,000 cases of infection and 335 deaths.
Of the world's first phase 3 clinical trial of COVID-19 inactivated vaccine right here in Abu Dhabi. It is definitely a momentous occasion for the United Arab Emirates and the world. We are definitely making history here in the UAE, and it is actually a matter of tremendous pride for Group 42 Healthcare as an organization, and personally myself also to be part of this. We are extremely proud of our partners in this program, Sinopharm, Seha Abu Dhabi, Department of Health Abu Dhabi, and also the Ministry of Health, United Arab Emirates.
This is a phase 3 clinical trial. Group 42 is sponsoring the trial. It's helped in the bringing the phase clean, but it will be run by Abu Dhabi Healthcare Facility, which means that the data will lie in the hospital. Neither Sinopharm or any other entity will see it. This is run by a professional CRO.
Peruvian police say they have seized over 900 weapons during a crime wave amid the coronavirus state of emergency. Authorities confiscated 918 firearms, including shotguns, revolvers, pistols, rifles, and homemade weapons from various police operations carried out during the pandemic quarantine that lasted from March 16 through to June 30. According to the National Police of Peru, the seizures were a key part of the authorities' Fortaleza 2020 plan, which has been aimed at strengthening citizen security amid rising crime. They say the criminal activities did not stop despite the lockdown. They've explained the drone usage, using of the drones during the operation was a key important component in the success of the campaign to stop crime. Did you get a strange message from any celebrity in the United States yesterday? Hopefully you did not respond to any of them. And you'd be lucky not to have done so, as a series of high-profile Twitter accounts were hacked Wednesday with some of the platform's top voices, including U.S. presidential candidate Joe Biden, reality TV star Kim Kardashian, and former U.S. President Barack Obama, just to name a few, used to solicit digital currency. The cause of the breach was not immediately clear, but the unusual scope of the problem suggested that it was not limited to a single account or service. While account compromises are not unusual, experts were surprised at the sheer scale and coordination of the incident on Wednesday. A co-founder of cybersecurity company CrowdStrike, Dmitry Alperovich, said it appeared to be the worst hack of a major social media platform yet. Twitter says it is investigating what it calls a security incident and would be issuing a statement. Some of the tweets were swiftly deleted, but there appeared to be a struggle to regain control of several of the accounts. In the case of billionaire Tesla chief executive Elon Musk, for example, one tweet soliciting cryptocurrency was removed, and sometime later, another one appeared, and then a third. Chief Research Officer at F-Secure, Mikko Hyppönen, has reacted to the breach, saying by what the hackers once gained access to the accounts, that the attack is likely orchestrated by, not likely orchestrated by state actors.
We are aware of three different things that the attackers were doing once they gained access. First of all, they were sending these tweets with these Bitcoin scams, trying to make money. Second of all, they were also sending direct messages, private messages in the names of the celebrities, trying to get people to subscribe to their services, again, using Bitcoin. And the third thing we know they were doing is that they were taking over valuable account names, so like very short Twitter names, so they could sell them further.
The VOA Silicon Valley correspondent Michelle Queen is in San Francisco, from where she joins us. Michelle, thanks for joining us on the program. Hopefully your account wasn't hacked.
I think I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay. Now, has Twitter said any more regarding what happened yesterday?
Well, what happened yesterday, we don't really know. But the thing that's very scary about it is that Twitter said it looks like a social engineering. And what that means is that somebody or a group of people were able to basically get inside of Twitter and get a view of these accounts. And some people call this the God's view. Somebody's sitting with a panel and they were able to get in and see these accounts and tweet for them. So that means potentially somebody inside clicked on a link and allowed this in, or we don't really know. But getting the inside view of Twitter is really scary.
And how much of a damage was really caused by that breach?
So here's the thing, and I appreciate the interview you just had, is that we don't really know what happened. We know that they started tweeting and asking people for money. We don't really know how secure Twitter is right now. People are able to tweet, but what actually happened and has it been fixed? Those are some questions we don't know yet.
So the original owners of the accounts don't have them back, is what you're trying to say?
People are now using Twitter and still using it, but we don't know what was the purpose of this hack? Was it to just kind of mess with people to get $100,000, or was it something else? Was this just practice? I mean, I don't want to be an alarmist, but the amount of control in the high profile accounts, I think, is causing some people to say this is still a big deal and it's still an ongoing story.
Yeah, but I suppose that at this point, everyone should be on the lookout, for these suspicious messages by now. But what advice is there for anyone who wants to protect their social media accounts?
There was some people talk about this thing called two-factor authentication. The problem is a lot of these accounts already had it. So these accounts are brands, Tesla, Uber, Apple, some of the names that you mentioned. They've already kind of do the best they can to protect themselves. I don't really know what to say except just check to make sure. Don't click on any links. If Elon Musk asks you to give him some Bitcoin and he'll double it, don't do it. So just try to use some common sense. But technologically, we're kind of at the mercy of the big companies like Twitter and Facebook to make sure that they have this right.
Yeah, and hopefully no one fell for those messages. I mean, why would Elon Musk be asking anyone to give him their Bitcoins? Michelle, thanks again for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
China's once again taken a swipe at the UK government over its recent ban on Huawei equipment, saying the British government has lost precious independence and ability to act on its own decision on the issue. These remarks were made earlier today by the Foreign Ministry spokesperson for China, Hua Chunying, during a press conference. She said she had read reports by the UK government over reasons to ban Huawei, but that the ban will ultimately jeopardize Britain's own interests, she says, and that the government should listen carefully to rational voices in their country and make a choice that best suits the fundamental and far-reaching interests of the United Kingdom in a reasonable approach. You're watching The World Today. Still ahead. Well, it is easy to be chased by a kangaroo, but how easy is it to chase one? I guess that's what these policemen realized in Fort Lauderdale. Stay with us. Welcome back. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has told China to respect the rule of law. He was speaking in an Economic Club of New York webinar. The United States is the WHO's most prominent critic and has said it is leaving the UN agency. President Donald Trump, who has been harshly criticized for his response to the outbreak of the coronavirus in the United States, which has the world's highest death toll at more than 136,000 people, has sought to blame China.
Participate in international institutions in a way that isn't like what they did with respect to the World Health Organization in China when the virus broke out in Wuhan, where they attempted at all costs to cause the WHO not to act in the way that was consistent with its requirement. What we're asking from China and the Chinese Communist Party isn't difficult, but it's something that General Secretary Xi has demonstrated he is unwilling to do. And this administration is going to do all we can to push back against that to preserve American national security. President Trump's made clear our decision to leave the WHO was simply because it wasn't a science-based institution and because it had become politicized. wasn't about saving money. Indeed, I expect that we will spend more money on COVID-19 outside of WHO than we would have spent were we inside. I hope we can build a coalition out that will go work on this. We'll find distribution channels when the blessed day comes that a vaccine has been identified. There's been a great deal of work on that. I'm sure some of that work will take place inside the WHO. The United States is going to focus its resources in ways that we think we can actually deliver effective outcomes.
Across the pond, British judges have ruled that Jemima Begum, a London schoolgirl who travelled to Syria to join Islamic State, should be allowed to return to the United Kingdom to challenge the removal of her British citizenship. Begum left to join ISIS when she was just 15 years old, but now wants to return. Her British citizenship was revoked on security grounds. A Court of Appeal of Judges said that the only way Begum would be able to have a fair and effective appeal of that decision would be if she was to be permitted to come back to the UK. Judge Julian Flo wrote in a ruling, fairness and justice must, on the facts of this case, outweigh the national security concerns. The country's Interior Ministry has criticised the decision, describing it as disappointing, and says it would appeal. Let's check in on the weather in China. Heavy rain has been pounding Wuxi County in southwest Chongqing since Tuesday evening, swelling rivers and flooding many towns. The surging Danning River damaged part of the shed in the mixing plant of the under-construction Wuzhen Expressway. Today, the flood ran through the plant, leaving the cement retaining wall breached. Turbulent river water drenched the collapsed shed. The affected area of the plant reached about 200 square meters, unavailable for operation at least half a month. All the staff of the station were evacuated. Now, besides Danning, Huji River and Dongji River were affected by the heavy rains as well. The rain-triggered floods also damaged a section of number G242 National Highway and tore a 30-meter-long breach on the road. At around 11 today, the traffic was completely uninterrupted and was not restored as at this afternoon. An almost similar situation also exists in the Sicilian city of Palermo in Italy. Take a look at this video posted on social media on Wednesday showing partially submerged vehicles and debris strewn across streets after a thunderstorm and torrential rain hit the island. There we have it. Separately, Italian media has reported that rescue teams and firefighters are continuing to search for people feared missing due to severe flooding. The footage also captured cars piled on top of each other as streets remain flooded. In case you thought 2020 couldn't get any stranger, a kangaroo was on the loose in Fort Lauderdale early this morning. Fort Lauderdale police apprehended the runaway roo near 1300 Northeast 2nd Avenue after a half-hour pursuit and was captured by Sky 10. Officer Robert Novice, who is part of the capture, said that the kangaroo was very friendly. They were able to get a rope around his neck and get him in the back of the police car. He also added that he had been a police officer for about 26 years and he's never had snake calls or python calls. He's had snake calls, he's had python calls, maybe even an alligator call, but he's never had a kangaroo around there and had never had to chase one either. The local news has confirmed that the kangaroo is a local resident's pet, which police believe was the case because it seemed domesticated and they're obviously not native to the area. Keeping a kangaroo in your home in Fort Lauderdale is illegal, though it's not clear what consequences the owner might face at this time. We end out in outer space. The European Space Agency and NASA have released the first images of their joint sun-observing mission, the Solar Orbiter. The pictures taken at an approximate distance of 77 million kilometers away from the sun revealed omnipresent miniature solar flares dubbed campfires near the surface of the sun. They're the first images taken of the star's surface from a closer distance, and it remains unclear whether the so-called campfires are tiny versions of big flares or whether they are driven by different mechanisms. A solar orbiter was launched in February 2020. It carries 6 remote sensing instruments or telescopes to picture the sun and its surroundings, and 4 instruments aimed at monitoring the environment around the spacecraft. Absolutely awesome seeing the sun that close. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani.